Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining this virtual networking event linked and focus on the i4Trust second open call. Um, Let me start sharing the screen uh, because I will be using a short presentation, which I hope you will be seeing now. I will be putting now full screen. First of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Juan Collero. I'm the Chief Technology Officer of the Fireware Foundation and also a coordinator of the i4Trust project, where three main partners are involved: the Fireware Foundation itself, iShare Foundation, and the Funding Box. And this intending to make data space happens in Europe. This is the agenda of today. We will start with a very short intro by myself, a few slides to give a little bit overall context. We are not going to explain today what i4Trust is about, because we are supposed you have already get enough information. Nevertheless, if there are some of you who wish to run a dedicated session for learning more about i4Trust, please tell us on the chat. We will pencil your contact, and we will schedule a session with those of you that may need that introduction. Following my very short introduction, there will be a more extended session by Dennis Woodland, who will elaborate on the practical hints on how to describe your experiment, which is going to be an important part of the application you will submit for this second open call. And then what comes afterwards is a networking event, because this event is particularly about connecting each other, and both DIHs and SMEs who are joining us today. And and this will be structured in two parts. In one part, you will be kind of running a presentations where you will introduce yourself, what you are looking for, and the kind of a conversation you will be willing to have today. And then the second part will be actually about those conversations. For this, we have set up a number of tables, virtual tables on the social launch that are organized in this platform, AirMeet. And after running this conversation, right 5 minutes to 2 o'clock, we will come together once again on main stage to kind of wrap up. So guidelines for the networking, very fast. It will be started in 45 minutes, first for intros, 45 minutes for the conversation, and there will be a shared spreadsheet that I hope one of my colleagues is now sharing in the chat. Um, we invite you to put already a reference to your organization, a little bit description of that, because then we will use that list to invite you to go to stage and give a short pitch about who are you, what is the organization you are representing, what kind of organization it is, what kind of experiment you are interested to get involved into, and what would be your role, and what kind of organization you are looking for and willing to have a conversation with, either today or through some maybe meetup session we can organize. And then after that, we will try to somehow establish matching and quick matching, like a sort of a speed dating, and invite you to join the different tables to run the conversations. With that preamble, let me go also with a short introduction about i4Trust. i4Trust is, um, I would say, the first open source framework available today, complete framework that allows creation of data spaces, data spaces where organizations can share data in a trusted and effective manner to bring support to the development of innovative services, to either improve their own processes or bring some new automated process and bring in a new data value chain into reality. And as part of the project, we are not just delivering this technology framework, but are also funding experiments that will be kind of pioneer experiments, creating data spaces using this technology. And those experiments, we are pretty sure, are going to be in a privileged position to be connected to the many data spaces initiatives that will be running, to which i4Trust is connected to, like, for instance, the Data Space Business Alliance initiative that was launched by the Huawei Foundation, DDBA, GaiaX, or IDSA, or the different data spaces connected projects that have now been emerging and will be funded under the Digital Europe program. The i4Trust second open call in numbers, we are looking for 19 experiments, up to 1.8 million equity free funding, which will be made available. And each of them will get a funding of between 72,000 to up to 120,000, depending on the number of organizations in the consortia. And they will not only enjoy funding once they are selected, but they will run during 9 months with a lot of mentoring and working as that. Last slide before giving the floor to Dennis is what is the kind of suitable consortia we are looking for and experiment. First, good news is we are open to all domains. So this is not focused to smart cities or agri-food or any specific domain. You can cover that domain that is in your main interest. And we are not even defining concrete challenges. So it's up to you to bring the challenges, to select the domain and bring something that is interesting, and somehow selection criteria will be around how interesting your experiment will be, how it what will be the potential to become a reference about what it means creating data spaces. Of course, there will be requirements from a technical standpoint about what about the use of i4Trust components that you are required for, and Dennis will elaborate a little bit more about that, and also the level of maturity that we expect you will reach across along the experimentation, and a number of factors. All of them are described in the i4Trust guideline for applicants. And one of the key aspects in your application will be the description of your experiment. And that is what Dennis will explain now, how it should be organized, and so that you have best chances to succeed with your application. So without further preamble, Dennis, now the floor is yours. I will be stop sharing. And yeah.
Yes, thank you. So I will start sharing now. I hope you can see this document now. So as described by Juanjo, when you now apply for this open call, you also need to fill in this Word template where you describe your experiment. And what I have here now is just a fictitious example of an experiment to showcase a bit how this should look like and what you should fill in the different sections. But before going through this document, let me first explain you a bit about this fictitious experiment. I can make it a bit larger. Yeah, I hope one can see it. So basically, this is our data space with different participants, and where we have different service providers and a service consumer. And the actual service provider is what we called here this Smart Shepherd company, which is a company providing data processing services based on AI and machine learning to calculate predictions of animal activity. And then there's a second provider, an actual data service provider, this real-time weather company, which is providing current weather data or even history weather data of weather measurements all over the world. So they collect data from some network of weather measurement stations and offer these weather data also in our data space. And those organizations also offer their services on the marketplace to also monetize their services. And then there's some consuming organization, which we called Happy Cattle now, which are operating some farm where they, for instance, some cows or other kind of animals, which have some sensors or IoT devices, which monitor their current position and heart rate and such things. And now when this Happy Cattle company has acquired access now to this service of the AI service provider, this Happy Cattle company can now, when they have new measurements from the animals, send data to the context broker of the Smart Shepherd organization and to trigger the calculation of the prediction of animal activity. Then when this calculation is triggered, this AI service will retrieve current weather data for these animal coordinates, perform the calculation, and then send back these predicted animal activity to the context broker of the Happy Cattle company. So you have an exchange based on NGS-ILD, which is one of the requirements for an i4Trust experiment. And the access management here for sending and retrieving the data is handled by specific components which follow the iShare specifications for granting access to these services and to send data to the context brokers. And then finally, there's a trust authority in our data space, which is the iShare satellite, which ensures trust among all these participants, so that for every interaction you have among participants can check whether requests are coming from trusted participants in our data space. So that's the basic use case we have here in this experiment of the different organizations. So now let's have a look at this template, which you're supposed to fill in for the application. So I think you can download this template on the webpage for the open call. And when you fill in the form for the application, there will be the option then to upload this document where you have all your information filled in. So let's go through this a bit. So in the first section, it's just a description on how to fill out this form. So you also find some information here on how to name the file and some format guidelines and so on. And now in the second section, the first one where you need to fill in something, and that's the name of the organizations which are part of your consortium, which will be definitely one DIH that is involved, and then a list of the different SMEs or slightly bigger companies involved, which will be between 3 and 5 companies, which you should list here. Then in the next section, you should describe the actual challenge which you address. So what problem are you actually solving with this experiment, and how it is solved thanks now to sharing data among all of these participants in your data space. This should be not longer than 2 pages, but in general giving a description of how the whole challenge you are addressing here. Then the next section, the 4th chapter, should describe the participants and their roles in your experiment. So in our case, The first one would be the AI service provider, the Smart Shepherd company. So giving some description on who they are, what they are doing, how could even already provide information on what kind of data they expect, what predictions are calculated here, and what you get back after the prediction calculations. There are even already some diagrams how this whole AI service works. So in this case, that when data is received from a context broker, the calculation here in this red box is triggered, which is performing first some data pre-processing, retrieval of these weather data, and then putting in these data into the trained AI model and calculating the predictions and returning them back to the context broker. Then there's a consuming organization for this AI service, this Happy Cattle company, which would be then described in the next section, describing that this is a farm raising animals of different kinds and so on. And they have some IoT system installed to monitor their animals' coordinates. And now, why do they want to acquire access to this prediction service, and what's the actual improvement which they gain now by using this service? And finally, there was this weather data service provider, which would be also described. So in general, about all your participants in your data space having some short description in this section. Now in the fifth chapter, we required you to describe your overall architecture of your experiment. So it should be a bit connected to the descriptions in the previous chapter about the role of the different participants in the consortium, and then also outline in your architecture where you should also provide some figures, some diagrams, who is the actual service provider and the service consumer, and so on. Like I also explained, so you can see again this architecture diagram of the different participants, also outlining which components will be used by the different organizations, and to make sure that you fulfill the requirements that, for instance, you should use some fireware context broker technology, for instance, and which components you plan to use for the identity and access management, which is based on the iShare specifications. And also what is important, since we have this trust anchor, ensuring the trust, how interactions with this satellite are involved in your architecture. And then even on a high level, also maybe providing already some diagrams where you show the flow of data in your data space. Now in the sixth chapter, we ask you to provide the classes of the actual digital twins which you identified, where you collect data or exchange data. In this case, it would be some digital twin class called an animal, maybe listing the attributes that describe these digital twins, like a location or temperature of these animals or their heart rate, and also specifying whether this class is already part of the Smart Data Models initiative. And in addition, there would be another class here for this observed weather data coming from this weather data provider. And then there are some questions you should answer. For instance, if you plan to monetize parts of the data, then please indicate which one and under what conditions. For instance, one could say, okay, this AI service is offered, for instance, at a cost of 600 euro per month, or this weather data service at 200 euro per month. That could also be single payment model or some pay-per-use scheme. Then also, if you plan to incorporate any third-party data, for instance, some open data. So if yes, also mentioning this here. And then the question whether your digital twin classes are already available in the Smart Data Models initiative, and maybe also already providing the links. And then finally, there's a section where you should describe the budget of your experiment. So I think there's some extra sheet where you can fill in the amount of budget you will require for each of your consortium partners. And yeah, then basically that's it what you should provide in this experiment description. So, and then I would go back to Juanjo, I think.
Okay, thanks, Dennis. So now we should be moving to the rest of the session, which is about the um, presentations by the different organizations and yeah, having a short pitch to make. Is that going to be run by who? Angeles or Andre? Who is going to follow that? Okay. Okay, if nobody is there to take care of that, I can do myself. Let me share the
Hello.
screen. Yes.
Wait a second. I was just talking with muted microphone. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So I was telling that I'll take care of it. That now we will be inviting different people to introduce themselves. So each one raises hand. I let to the stage and make short introduction about them. And also perhaps some of the viewers have some questions to Juanjo and Denis about the presentation they just did. So if you have some of the questions, you can ask now before we are proceeding to presentation of participants.
Perhaps, Henry, it would be great if you can share the spreadsheet while we are going through this part of the session, so we can indeed follow. Yeah, since in the spreadsheet I see that there have been already some people who have added some data. We can go through it and inviting them on stage. So I would suggest.
Okay.
Can you
Before we
share that?
begin, you're about the spreadsheet, the thing you just posted in chat with the
Yes, with
description of company.
yes, with that and this.
Okay, so just look how to share my screen. In that moment, the button disappeared. Oh, yeah. Wait a minute. Yeah, this one. Okay. As you see it. So we were talking about the spreadsheet.
Yes.
Basically, it's yeah, that's always here. So we put data of the companies, and then in the top right corner we put the number of the table where that will be assigned to you. So each table can have few participants at the same time, and as long as each of you will be presenting, we will be filling this data sheet. and you can write. You can put in the tab with whom you would be interested to meet, of this column names of organization willing to talk to you. And after that, you can also move to other tables and talk to people from other organizations as well. So you will have this tab as reference where and which representative of which company will be.
Okay, so let's go, and I suggest you keep sharing the spreadsheet, and so we can invite people in start inviting in the order that they are there. So, for instance, starting with someone representing this company, this organization called Monopteryx, is it on the audience? Can they raise their hand so that we can invite you to the stage?
Lampros, I think that is the person representing this company.
We need that you raise the hand because it's the way we identify you and can bring you on stage. That will be made
Or
by.
you can write in chat, like Stefano wrote 2 minutes ago that he can give the presentation afterwards.
Well,
Oh,
in any case, we
yeah.
have two companies that wanted to present. Okay. Yeah, now
So
Lampros.
Lampos is here.
Yeah.
So Lampros, the floor is yours. So if you could introduce.
I don't know. Perhaps Lampros is having some technical difficulties.
He's wondering whether we can hear him. We cannot hear you actually. Please, if you can check whether you are muted or not.
No, Lampros is not muted. Perhaps something with.
Okay,
Okay,
so
we can
then let's move
skip to
to.
other person meanwhile.
I think that Ayo wanted to present. I can try to find him and.
Oh,
Okay,
Ayo is here. He
right.
raised hand.
Yeah. We have your presentation, Ayo, but I guess that you can share your screen or at least try to do it. If you need help, let me know. Okay, we can see you now.
Hello. Can you hear me too?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
perfect. I don't know how to share the screen, but I will try to do so. Wait a minute.
Look for button below the video.
Yeah, let's see. One moment. It should share my screen now. Is it sharing the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. What I will do, I'll keep it short. I uploaded this presentation to the Google Drive too. I'm part of a company called Dexus. We are a young company who actually won a contest in 2019 to provide a data marketplace for the city of Amsterdam and actually the metropolitan area of Amsterdam with 2.8 million citizens. What we currently do is that we actually build a data marketplace and also did some use cases and demoing and testing. And we're actually part of a new project now, which is called the Amdex Amsterdam Data Exchange Field Lab, together with the University of Amsterdam, SURF, which is a scientific organization in the Netherlands, large Amsterdam Internet Exchange, and the Amsterdam Economic Board. And we're working on a field lab to provide this data marketplace for the Amsterdam metropolitan area. What we're doing is use cases to actually demonstrate and find out what it means to provide this data marketplace. And the most important thing about Amdex is that it's not a really technical project. It's what we call a soft infrastructure to provide trust and to provide the organizational and legal things you need to actually share data. So it's not the technical thing about data sharing, but the organizational and juridical sharing. What's in the presentation that I brought for you is actually one of the use cases we are going to start. It's called a smart building case, and it's about sharing sensor data coming from buildings provided by sensor owners, like a sensor who can measure the presence of people, or how many people there are, or whether some soap dispenser is empty or not. You can imagine what sensors there are in smart buildings. And the problem is that not all of this sensor data is open data. It's sensitive data because it can give some sense of who's in the building, what's happening in the building. So it's privacy sensitive data, or sometimes commercially sensitive data. And that's where Amdex comes in as a means to share data that's sensitive. Well, I won't go through the presentation at all, but what we're doing is these kind of use cases. We're definitely going to do the smart buildings use case, but what we offer and what we are looking for is help to actually integrate iShare and fireware components into this Amdex solution that we're building. And that's the call that we are reacting to in the i4Trust, is that we actually want to incorporate iShare and fireware. We hadn't planned this, but when we talk to iShare, and we talk a lot to iShare, we think this is the moment to actually introduce iShare and fireware into this Amdex ecosystem that we're building. And that's the call we're doing, is to actually put some extra effort in this use case, integrate iShare and fireware. And what we need is at least one digital innovation hub that can help us to provide and implement this iShare and fireware components, because we're not really experienced with them. That's it. I think I'll leave the presentation for later because it's got a lot of details and architecture, etc. But that's probably something for later. Was this enough for an introduction?
Yes.
Okay. Can I stop sharing? Let's see.
Yeah, if you want, you can drop.
Yeah, there you are.
Yeah, if you want, you can drop the link to presentation now in the chat, so everyone who wants to look at it now can do it. And we can invite Lampros once again. Or anyone who raises.
Stefano was mentioning his okay to make a presentation, I see, in the chat.
I see Stefano is raised the hand. I'm handing him a mic.
Okay, I think you guys hear me and see me, right?
Yes.
Great. So I also share, actually I don't have a presentation, but I do have a Word file so far that I have prepared for the purpose, very fast. We are a startup active in the logistic and global supply chain, and our let's say, project that we want to present for the i4Trust scope is the creation of spaces ecosystem for the logistic, intending as logistic the end-to-end moving globally, worldwide, freights and goods. Considering the problem, the fact that currently logistic has no rather than poor quantity and quality set of data, yet these data are needed in order to make the logistic and supply chain with all their current problems more agile, effective, efficient, and most of all, sustainable. Our startup work looking at the sustainability as a final target in terms of people, planet, prosperity. So not only the environmental part, but the social and the economical aspect as well. Last for the project, because we are talking about end-to-end logistic, we are going to present something that is pretty much integrated with what are the data spaces for the smart cities. Clearly, last mile and first mile deliveries are within cities and villages, but there is a very tight relationship and integration between our project and the smart city deliveries data spaces. So what is our idea is considering that among the EU priorities, moving freights is one of the main infrastructural targets. We aim with this project to develop and deploy the first commercial release of the global logistic and supply chain data space actually. This data space has a few main characteristics. The first one is data to be in the quantity and quality usable to unleash the full potential of the 4th Industrial Revolution 2, so artificial intelligence, machine learning, name it. But most of all, and this is fully in line with our vision and strategies, the data space is to be intended as agnostic, responsible, and ethic, trustworthy, modular, and scalable, which aligns also to the requirement that this call is looking for. Consider that we are aiming to deliver this proof of concept in a small scale. We will start from a logistics supplier within a city, but this is again scalable at worldwide level for the entire logistic chain. Also, we start from the beginning. One of the partners we identified for the project is specifically working in the cybersecurity field. So we since the beginning want to create security by design beside the privacy by design, which is anyway already mandatory. How do we want to put this available to the stakeholders? By means of the let's say fireware standard blocks, obviously already available. We foresee 3 levels of data layers. The first one is basically free and open access for anybody. A second level is those proprietary data that are exchangeable in a monetized way via mentioned before in a marketplace. So we have the fireware marketplace for the purpose we want to use. And then there is a top tier, which are those data that normally are highly confidential and not exchanged among companies or stakeholders unless they are a part of some deals. So we want to allow also this kind of exchange, obviously considering the strong cybersecurity approach we are giving to our project, in order to also have this possibility to exchange highly confidential data sets via our platform. Briefly, This is a part of our DNA and our approach as well. This was part of the previous call. So we embrace our project embrace fully what is the structure given, and this other represent how we want to basically how do we see. This was a presentation we did for Fiverr Smart Festival. We presented ports data spaces. Ports is one of the several subset of data for the logistic data spaces, all together representing in a digital representation the physical assets, and then bringing them all in the wider as i4Trust called umbrella of the all different data spaces for the other fields. So we have identified for the projects basically 5 SMEs and 1 digital innovation hub. Already we made a kickoff meeting with them this morning, and yeah, that's pretty much the idea we do have on our side for the purpose of this call and the project we want to present. I don't know if there are any questions. Otherwise, I can stop the sharing. Wanjo?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I guess we may now try to get someone else in the floor.
Claudio Salvadori from Italy was raising hand, so I'm letting him on the stage.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Do you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so nice to meet you. My name is Claudio Salvadori. I'm the CEO of New Generation Sensors. We are an Italian company. We have developed, I can share, I try to share my screen. I have a slide here, and we have developed a solution for logistics as the same as the guy before. We have a complete IoT solution from the field toward the cloud. So IoT devices, a scalable platform to ingest the data, and blockchain repository to blockchain ledger to share the data in a trusted manner, especially regarding events. And we are developing. We are aiming also to use this blockchain ledger to store and transport important documents toward the logistics, the materialization, and so on. So our approach is based on the concept of smart pallet, smart logistic unit, and then we can identify, monitor, characterize this logistic unit, add improved granularity, and then we can track it and tracing all along the supply chain, covering the whole supply chain. So last mile, first mile, cargo, last mile logistics, having the agnosticism of the mode, so being completely free floating device. And what we are trying to do is, we are not this only service provider in this domain, but we think that the transparency in logistics is quite important, especially regarding the fruit logistics or fish logistics. And then we think that blockchain and blockchain interoperability is quite important, as well as the communication between different entities, not only service provider, as well as also toward the final customer. So, our platform has a secure ad hoc access to all the users involved in the supply chain, but what we want to do is to share information exploiting the blockchain, because blockchain enables ours to have a trusted storage of the data and trusted dispatchment of this data. And for example, an important point we want to address is to create a link between management tools, something like ERPs, and our tool exploiting trusted data sharing. And that is what the objective of this project. We have selected the tool for interoperability. We have selected the standard. We already use a PCIS for the standard, and we are searching for DIH or maybe a technology provider also, because we have already a test bed regarding the fish supply chain. Particularly, the idea is to monitor the fish from the sea toward the fork. Here is from far to fork, but imagine here there is a fish and here there is a boat, and then we have to identify and characterize the fish on the boat. And so here is not a truck but a vessel or a boat. So this is the I mean, this one is for fruit, but it can be adapted for a fish. And I mean, our purpose is to find a DIH, of course, but I mean, if there are added value SMEs to improve such a solution, also in terms of optimization, since we will have a lot of real-time data regarding position, time, and a lot of features extracted from this data, I mean, we are open to discuss. We have a large expertise in European project. At the moment, we have 4 European projects active. And I mean, so we are, we would like to be the coordinator, since we have coordinated at the moment other 3 open calls. And so we can support the drafting together and the realizing of the project. So the objective is to set up this consortium and to win the open call. I think that's all. And so thanks a lot. Yeah.
Okay, I think Giulia Napolitano wrote she will be next, so I'm inviting her to stage.
Cosa dire? Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know how to. Okay, so the camera is here. So you can also see me. Just one second. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I'm here with Lorenzo Modena, that is the CEO of OpenMove. I am the project manager. So I will leave the floor now to Lorenzo, that will explain what we do.
Thank you, everybody. Well, at OpenMove, we're specialized in mobility as a service and a wide variety of different technology applied to public transportation and traffic management, including ticketing, automated fare collection, demand responsive transportation, real-time passenger information. We are at the very beginning of our journey here with i4Trust, meaning that we don't have a consortium yet. We don't have anyone involved, so we're here to listen to other presentations and to pitch ours. And in our case, we're interested in some experiments featuring the idea of mobility data spaces, which is something that we are kind of aware it's our domain market, so it's something that we were very familiar with. And in particular, we would like to provide some technology or some domain expertise in order to develop a mobility data space featuring the integration of multiple transport services within one platform, featuring the intermodal aggregation of multiple agencies and multiple mobility services, and to expose API to some, I don't know, front-end developers, for example, some very vertical B2C players. Let's say, let me give you one example. You have multiple transport services within one given area. You have bus, train, car sharing, you have public transportation, you have private transportation, you have scooter sharing, you have demand responsive transport. And you want to create a mobility data space able to aggregate that wide variety, and you want to have some vertical solution providers. Let's say somebody that develops an app focusing on biking, somebody else an app in order to prioritize and to boost public transportation in order to promote sustainability. So we can provide that kind of layer to enable third-party providers to access to this mobility meta product, aggregating again multiple transport services within one given area. That's kind of our field, and yeah, we're here to get to know somebody else interested in smart mobility as well.
So we pass to next speaker, Marie-Anne Sashen, if I correctly pronounce, from Romania.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, one moment. Can you see my screen? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm Mariana Isakian from Bea Consulting International. Our CEO is George Suchu Senior, and our R&D manager is together with us, George Suchu Junior, together with other research assistants in the team, Sorina Nitroi and Sherban Kalescu. We are a company which was established in 1991. As I said, the management is done by George Suchu Senior, which is the general manager, and George Suchu Junior, which is the R&D innovation manager. We are active in the business field of trading and distribution of IT and telecommunication equipment. We are really aware and have a big experience in R&D projects, national and European ones. We have quite a big team in R&D, and we also have different offices in Romania, also in Austria, and also in Belgium. We also are ISO certified, and very important on the security side, we also are certified 27001. What's important, we have a lot of partners. We are seeking right now in this i4Trust consortium the big data, security, cybersecurity, IoT, smart city type of applications. So we are seeking for other partners in order to apply to this call. As you can see, we have applied to different type of calls. We have also ongoing security projects such as DAX, Scratches for our cities on the smart city sector, on the healthcare sector, also on the agriculture sector. And we also have more than 9,500 turnkey projects for telephone exchanges, local and corporate networks. And also we are very interested to work on the part on the military and the police. So, and we have, I'm gonna go a bit further so I don't hold up too much for for other people. I just would like to go directly to the cyber security projects which we have, so which are more important on our side. So SafeCare was a project which involved cyber and physical infrastructure security in hospitals. We were more on the part of the data collection, and we are very have a big expertise in IoT solutions. Also, we are active in smart grid and blockchain security, which is really relevant to this call. And when it comes to big data and machine learning type of applications. So in SealGrid, we are making a platform for smart grid applications, including the masking of the data from the utility to the aggregator and to the provider. We also were involved in another project for smart hotel security and smart home security. So when it comes to collecting data from endpoint to another, FIDO certifications, and the encryption of data. A really interesting thing, we are involved in a really big scale Horizon project for S4 cities, which is on the smart city, in which we are making again a cyber physical infrastructure for open spaces in cities, and we have tested in various two scenarios already in Pilsen and also in Trikala city in Greece, and at the moment we are waiting to test it also in another one. So this is a very keen to i4Trust. And as you can see on the right side, we also have experiences with isolation type of for viruses and of this sort. Now, I have seen also applications in here which are more keen on the farmers. So also you can see, and I'll go a bit further also on the agriculture side. So we had a project which was on the air quality side, in which we were installed different stations in Bucharest city, whereas in Romania, in which we would check up on the air quality in different stages. We would have it in using Tibelium type of stations or other telemetry stations. Also, they would be powered by a solar panel, and then they would be shown in real time in a platform all of the emissions which are really keen in big cities, which is pretty important. And also, it was based on edge and cloud computing, and beneficiaries were the municipalities of different cities in Romanian government authorities. Something more on the agriculture side, I would say would be here on the water. We have different projects for water quality. So we installed alongside the Danube different stations in which we would detect the quality of the water, if there's any viruses such as E. coli, the depth of the water, the debit of the water, and again, IoT type of infrastructure in which we would see in real life and real time the data seen. So this is the project Water M, ASOS. All of these projects are. What is also important, we also in Adriatic we work with drones, which are on the navigation plus underwater type of applications. We would like to check up on the different type of dangers and different type of issues which might survey using drones. With SWAM, it's more applicative on the agriculture. So we are making an irrigation system based on blockchain technologies in order to check the quality of water in an agriculture fields. So as we can see, we have a different variety, but I try to go more on what has been discussed prior. So as we are also seeking with other partners to convey not only security side, can be also in other fields of interest. Another projects, I would say, on the agriculture side. So as you can see on the right side, we have different telemetry stations which would check on the quality of crops, quality of also the weather, so wind and other parameters, meteorological parameters. And the stations, ATCOM stations, they would be installed in this type of fields, and then you would see in this platform the data in real time. And also management of greenhouses. This is really important, which would result from livestock farming. We have also project checking up the quality of leaves in wineries, so vineyards, and using image recognition type of data. So beneficiaries would be crop science division, agri expert, and other, and the national authority of phytosanitary. So this would be a quick look on what we are doing at the moment, and maybe I'll let George talk also a bit on this side, a bit more details. Thank you. Okay, so seems I can to bring a conclusion. We are seeking partners on the smart city sector, on the blockchain, on data, on big data management. Then we are seeking to provide support for any ideas which are keen and are presented here. Thank you very much for letting me present our company, and I'm keen to collaborate.
Thank you, Marie. Anybody else? I mean, who will be next presenting? Please raise your hands once you're ready. Oh, okay. So Nadia Kaloyanova from Bulgaria.
Hello. Hi, everyone. It is a pleasure to meet you. I'm Nadia. I'm from Bulgaria, and I'm representing the company Technology Valley. We are specialized in artificial intelligence. We have our own proprietary technologies and products in the field of natural language understanding, computer vision, and other fields in the artificial intelligence field. And for the i4Trust, we actually already have a consortium, and we are looking for one or at the most two SMEs for our consortium. The idea is that we are going to use artificial intelligence to identify and analyze the photovoltaic panels on the roofs in an urban area in a smart city. And we are going to make the calculations and predict which electrical lines are expected to be overloaded. As you all know, now it is expected to be a huge problem with electricity because everyone is using more electricity than usual. So we are the smart municipalities are going to face this kind of problem and overload, electrical overload, probably even this winter as well. So this is what our idea is, and I'll be happy to meet you and see who would like to join our consortium. I believe that we are going to form up a really interesting product that would be interesting for all smart cities. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm inviting next person to the stage, Volodymyr Noklai.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes.
I represent NodeSQL Digital Innovation Hub, and we are i4Trust ambassador, and we are from Kiev, and our technology focus is cloud, cybersecurity, blockchain, artificial intelligence. You could see here some main services that we do it in this field, and also we are collaborate with European Open Science Cloud Digital Innovation Hub and provide access to cloud services in Ukraine. In i4Trust call, we now support four application. One is in agri-tech field about exchange of agri data and calculate the impact on the climate. The second is in the field of smart house. And two in industry field. One is about risk assessment from manufacturing and exchange of the data on it. And second, about non-disruptive monitoring of construction. For this last one, we still in the process of consortium building, because it's just a recent time we communicated with company Alistin that Yuri Kalinichenko is here, and he proposed us to support this experiment because he has technology for determining the structure of material based on the method of electromagnetic field structure, and now have some machine learning model for interpretation of data. So he look for some partners that will work closely with some industrial manufacturing company and could test this method and exchange the data. Also, we have one partner in acoustic monitoring, so we have two methods for non-disruptive monitoring of construction and predictive of the future exploitation. So if you're interested in such experiment, you could just visit our room here. Thank you. But for other topic, we also open for some communication. Maybe we will find some way of collaboration. Thank you. That's all for me.
Please. Thank you, Dimar. Please raise your hands who wants to present next. I also wanted to add that it's not necessary to have a presentation. The main thing to present your company, make a short pitch, and then we will help you find the table and company we'll be working with. Yeah, so since everyone who wanted to present themselves, I suppose, already did that, we can go back to tables, and I'm sending once again the tab with companies, so we can assign the number of tables, and then you meet in the lobby room, and I'll create more tables if it's needed. So now for the next I suppose 45 minutes. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. So for next 45 minutes, we'll be networking on tables. So I pause the session and see you on the tables.
So, hi everyone. Just thank you for joining today. And this is just the last 5 minutes, a bit like a wrap up of the session today, with a few reminders. I'll be sharing the screen again. Give me a second, and then use a few slides for the for this wrap up. And a bit a reminder is the milestones we have in front of us, and the most important one being the deadline for the submission of proposals. That will be September the 12th. You have all that information and in the page associated to the second open call. You can join the i4Trust community. If someone, one of my colleagues, can share the link in the chat. There is a dedicated spaces which is devoted to help desk, so where you can formulate questions you may have regarding the call, and also use that to seek for additional partners and so on. You should not forget the guidelines for applicants. Review it carefully so that you make sure that you meet all the requirements and all the rules that have been defined. Very briefly, a couple of things that have changed compared to the first open call is, in this case, DIH may submit and be part of several experiments being funded. There was a limitation to get funded only in one in the previous call. This is a limitation we have dropped out. this time. As well, there might be several DIHs participating in the same experiment, complementing each other, and a number of other new things compared to the first open call. So don't miss reviewing the guidelines for applicants. And then the evaluation process will be taking place during September, October, and at the end of October, there will be the final sessions where a selected number of applicants will be invited to a session, a selection day where they will have to give a pitch, and among those finalists, we will come up with the final list of 19 experiments to be funded during the November, December timeframe. We will be checking validity of all the partners in your consortia and solving everything that has to do with the signature of the subgrant agreement, and with the intent of starting the experiments right in January 2023. Last thing I already mentioned in the beginning, we are looking for consortiums, ideally 4 or 5 SMEs or slightly bigger companies with at least one DIH. As I explained before, there might be more than one DIH. Minimum, there should be 3 SMEs involved and one DIH. And it's important that you take a look at the i4Trust components that that are kind of mandatory for the design, technical design of experiments that will be funded. There is information about these components available on the i4Trust webpage and also on GitHub. And also pay attention to the template for description of experiments. The template that Dennis was showing today will be made available on the together with the guideline of applicants. So don't forget to take a look at for inspiration. And uh, yeah, I think that's all that I think we want to emphasize today. Don't hesitate to contact us using the help desk to whenever you may have doubts about whether your use case is appropriate or not, or if you are struggling finding out new partners that may work with you in building the consortium. We are here to help. So yeah, uh, I think that's all. And thank you again very much for joining us today. And well, I wish you a productive rest of the day. And I hope you will be working and submitting a proposal to these i4Trust open call and become part of the pioneer experiments that will be the protagonist of this new revolution that data spaces are bringing to Europe. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
I also hope networking session was productive for you, and many of you found useful contacts. And I would like to remind and invite to follow us on social media and sign up to Fiverr newsletter, and you will stay up to date on all the events and programs we're launching. So everyone, have a nice day, and we're closing the session.